This class has been an important part of my grad school experience and my development as a teacher of dual enrollment classes. I've learned a lot about being a creative and reflective teacher. Before analyzing who I've become, I first had to look at where I started. I've taught AP Literature for 8 years. AP is the highest level of English at the high school level, and I hold my students to very high standards of literary analysis and composition. My students write, revise, and hone their skills in the hopes of passing the exam at the end of the year. The ultimate reward for passing the test is that students will get college credit that allows them to skip freshman comp. Because this is one of the incentives, I'm sorry to say that I try to make freshman comp sound like the worst, most boring class ever, so students will want to avoid it. This negative impression of English 1010 comes from a place of ignorance. I never took it myself, and I imagined it to be one of those enormous auditorium classes where the teacher just lectures and students fall asleep. My roommate in college took 1010 and complained that the teacher returned essays covered in illegible red marks that taught her nothing. So the class has always struck me as one filled with grammar drills and formulaic writing, where standard written English is the ultimate goal. Imagine my surprise. The class design presented by Kate showed me that freshman composition was nothing at all like I imagined. It is far more interactive and creative than I ever thought that it could be. The classes are not huge lecture halls. The projects are introspective and meaningful, asking students to reflect and engage with material that matters to them, not just dry research. Students are encouraged to produce multimodal compositions that are not strictly MLA formatted essays. Interviews, twine games, and infographics are just a small example of the types of projects students can create. And the teachers of these classes are not held to a strict syllabus either, allowing them just as much curricular freedom as I have in my classroom. This class also addressed my rhetorical bias, that is, my anti-rhetoric bias. I am a literature lady at heart, and I say all the time that I'm glad I teach AP Lit and not Lang, but this class has shown me that rhetoric goes beyond reading articles. Rhetoric is messy. It's a process, not a product, and students should be encouraged to follow their curiosity. Furthermore, the pursuit of standard written English is not as important as getting students thinking, developing, and presenting their ideas. Rhetoric is reflecting, analyzing the processes of writing in order to understand one's thinking. This process will help my students identify their intentions before writing and evaluate their level of success afterwards. I think it will be a helpful tool for revision. Our discussion of local versus global concerns reinforces the way I've handled grammar in my senior classes. There was always the fear that I was failing my students by not insisting that every comma be correct. It's a relief to know that college will value their ideas over their mechanics. I see genre a whole new way now. Although subconsciously aware of the conventions for mundane genres like flyers, advertisements, and menus, I had never really considered them before. It was fascinating, and I hope I can find a way to incorporate a project like this. Labor-based grading is very attractive, but intimidating. It seems like an academic utopia where students wish to improve for the sake of improvement and not scores. I think it will take a couple of years of experience before I can attempt it, but now I have that goal. Of all the books and articles we read this semester, these 3 have been the most impactful. I really enjoyed the Bad Ideas podcast and all the materials and From Theory to Practice. Everyone's an Author is a well-designed and student-friendly textbook. So who am I as a teacher now? This class has challenged me to reassess some of my strategies and approaches, to dust off my tired lesson plans and find more creative activities. It has also challenged me to challenge my students more. It is easy to get weary and latch on to the negative, but these students deserve better than that. What can I bring into my classroom and begin to incorporate right away? What activities will work for AP and Standard English? How can I encourage my standard students to explore their curiosity and go beyond the minimum? I want to focus more on process and less on product. I want to encourage my students to reflect and write about their processes. I want to convince my standard students that they too are authors by introducing them to more genres and helping them find their voices. I want to use the writing to learn activities to engage my students in short, powerful activities that expand their thinking and help them unlock their potential. I want them to see writing as a way to discover their thinking, not just to express it. Ultimately, I know that my experience in this class and in grad school altogether has empowered me with new potential to help my students succeed in college and beyond, because my ultimate goal is not to be the person holding up the diploma, but the one holding the camera to cheer my students across that stage.